Have you ever wondered why you think the way you do? Why your thoughts don't always feel like a choice, but more like a reflex? Why you can be aware of a toxic pattern and still repeat it anyway? Why your body tenses at the slightest uncertainty, or your mind builds stories that only exist to defend you? I used to think I was just broken, that I had some deep flaw in my wiring, something wrong with me that needed to be fixed or hidden. But over time, I started to realize something else, something quieter, more unsettling, and far more liberating. I wasn't broken. I was conditioned to survive, not to awaken. And that's a massive difference. We talk a lot about awakening these days, like it's a switch we flip. But real awakening, at least in my experience, didn't start with light or clarity or cosmic bliss. It started with friction, with noticing how much of me wasn't really me, how so much of my life was being run on code I didn't write, automatic behaviors, inherited beliefs, unconscious defenses. I was acting out an algorithm designed not for truth, but for protection. I became who I needed to be to stay safe. Sometimes that meant being agreeable. Sometimes that meant being cold. Sometimes it meant suppressing emotions so well that even I believed I didn't feel anything. I mistook numbness for peace. I mistook hypervigilance for awareness. I mistook overthinking for intelligence. But none of those were me. They were masks I learned to wear to navigate environments that couldn't handle my full self. You see, conditioning isn't just trauma. It's not always dramatic. It's subtle. It's the way you were spoken to as a child, the way you were looked at or not looked at, the approval you got for being a good boy or smart girl, the silence you received when you stepped out of line. It's the culture that told you what's valuable, the media that shaped your self-image, the school system that rewarded compliance and punished curiosity, the church, the neighborhood, the social feed, all of it. Layering expectations on top of your being until you start confusing that noise for truth, until you start calling that cage home. Here's how the loop works, at least for me. A trigger hits, not something obvious. Sometimes it's just silence, or a tone shift, or someone not replying for too long. And suddenly, my brain is building an entire narrative, one where I'm being abandoned, or attacked, or misunderstood. And my body? My body doesn't know the difference between that imagined story and real danger. So I brace, I shut down, or I over-explain, or I ghost, or I people-please, or I mentally check out, all while pretending to be calm. This is survival mode. It's not conscious. It's code. People think awakening is bliss. But for me, the first real awakening was just noticing the code. Not changing it yet, just finally seeing it. The moment I could look at a loop of fear or defensiveness or anxiety, and instead of reacting, I just said, "Oh, there it is." That moment changed everything. Because for the first time, I wasn't inside the loop. I was observing it. Not as a judge, not as a victim, just seeing it. If you're watching this right now, close your eyes with me for a second. Take a slow breath in and out. Now, notice what's going on inside you. Don't label it. Don't fix it. Just notice. The tightness in your jaw, the chatter in your mind, the emotions floating just under the surface. Don't fight them. Just observe. This is the beginning of awakening. Not control, not transcendence, just awareness. There's a version of me that used to sabotage everything good. I'd ghost people who loved me. I'd ruin opportunities right before they became real. I'd chase highs, avoid quiet, feed chaos. I hated this about myself. Until I realized self-sabotage was just self-protection in disguise. I wasn't ruining my life. I was avoiding the unknown. Because the unknown, even when it's healthy, feels unsafe when all you've known is struggle. When love feels foreign, when peace feels boring, when being seen feels like danger. So I'd choose familiar pain over foreign healing, because at least I knew how to survive pain. That was the cost of conditioning. Look around and you'll see it. We don't reward presence, we reward performance. We reward hustle. Hustle until you collapse. Hustle until your inner child has no voice. We reward numbness. Call it professionalism, we reward apathy. Call it maturity. And the worst part? We internalize it. We start rewarding it in ourselves. Look how strong I am for not crying. Look how productive I was today, even though I felt empty. That's not strength, that's disconnection. And we've been trained to applaud it. I started noticing that my body knew things before my mind did. I'd get tight shoulders before anxiety. My stomach would twist before bad news. My chest would ache long before a relationship ended. My body remembered. My nervous system was a journal of everything I didn't process in real time. And deeper than the body, my soul remembered too. The parts of me I had buried, the dreams I dismissed, the truths I never said out loud, they didn't die. They waited. And eventually, they started rising. I wish I could say that waking up felt like joy. But the truth? It felt like loss. Loss of identity, loss of coping, loss of the image I'd built just to be loved. It felt like mourning the version of me that tried so hard, the one who smiled to survive, the one who stayed silent to be safe, the one who overachieved to feel worthy. And as I let him go, I cried a lot, because I wasn't just waking up to truth, I was grieving who I thought I had to be. People think self-awareness will get them out of pain, but real awareness doesn't bypass pain. It walks straight into it. It sits with discomfort. It listens to the parts of you that have been screaming in silence for years. It doesn't fix them. It witnesses them. And in that witnessing, something softens. There was a shift at some point. Not a breakthrough, not a spiritual high, just a moment. I stopped asking, what's wrong with me? And started asking, what happened to me? Then eventually, what's underneath this? And later, what if this doesn't need to be fixed? Curiosity took the place of shame. That's when the real healing began. I still get triggered, still fall into loops, still feel myself dissociating sometimes when things get too intense. But now I notice it. Now I breathe. Now I choose differently. Not every time, but more than before. And that's the work. That's the awakening. Not perfection, not bliss, just noticing and choosing again and again. So if you're watching this right now and thinking, why do I keep sabotaging? Why can't I just be happy? Why does everything good feel like a threat? Please hear this. You are not broken. You are conditioned. Conditioned to survive, not to awaken. But the fact that you're noticing, that you're asking, that you're still here, still trying, that means the awakening has already begun. Close your eyes one last time. Breathe. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your breath in your chest. You are here. Not in the past, not in the future. Here. This moment is the doorway, not to some mystical truth, but to presence, to noticing, to being. I am not the code. I am the one who sees it. Let that be enough. Let that be the start. Let that be the awakening. We weren't taught this, but we can remember it, together in presence. Until next time, stay soft, stay awake.